What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to talk about BMW GS Adventure. Do a review, ownership. How long have I owned it? I think 2 years now I've been on the GS Adventure. But I want to talk about why the GS Adventure is so good and some of the cons. I just figured I'd take a cruise. I got a trip coming up. I'm leaving next week or in a few days I'm going to finish up the Nevada BDR. I'm going to do sections 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to meet Brian in Elko. We're going to do 6. And then we're going up to Utah we're going up to Idaho to do the Idaho BDR. So I got a pretty awesome trip coming up in a few days, and if you like this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe. Catch all that good stuff. It's a lot cooler out here. It's starting to cool off in Vegas. It's only 100 degrees instead of 114 degrees. I'm over in the mountains. You know, you get up in the mountains a little bit and it cools off real nice. You know, my goals when I bought a BMW GS was to tour the country. I wanted to take cross-country trips, and I purchased a 2016 BMW GS. Look at that. Look at that camp spot. I rode it for about a year. Me and Brian took a trip on it. Yosemite from St. Louis and back. It was a lot of fun. It was my first experience, and I was hooked after that. I was hooked on a BMW GS. Like, for me, touring is like my everything. It's my escape, it's my mental health. I need to ride all the time for my mental health, but I need to take long motorcycle trips too for my mental health. And that ain't no shit. Look at that. And so my goals were really touring. I wanted to take long motorcycle trips, but I also wanted to commute, have something around town to ride. The BMW GS just did all that stuff pretty damn well. I had a friend who I saw ride a BMW GS on the back roads in Missouri, and he was just shredding with it. I saw that and I thought, you know what, this bike is an awesome street bike. It can do a lot, but it's a touring beast. And I love touring so much, it was this is my goal, you know? It was one of my goals. But I eventually switched to, I think about a year later, damn near exactly a year later, I sold that GS and bought GS Adventure. And I got a 2017, but I bought it in the middle of 2018. I rode it to Alaska, rode it up through Montana and Idaho, all over really, a lot of places. 42,000 miles on it in about 2 years right now. I'm at 20,000 miles a year. I didn't start riding it off-road until a year ago. So when I was in Missouri, I would run back roads and travel and stuff, and really just worked on my on-road skills. And once I moved to Nevada, there's not a lot of twisties and stuff out here, so I started taking it off-road more and more. And that's really when I started shooting video. Me and Brian rode to Alaska this time last year, and I shot all those videos, and they're up on my YouTube. You know, you can check that out. That whole series is pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of that series. So I really haven't been posting regularly for a year yet. I think that the BMW GS Adventure, I think, is better than the BMW GS. And people might not agree with that, but I'll put it like this. The BMW GS and GS Adventure, they're touring bikes. They're not dirt bikes. They're touring bikes. And they're damn close to sport touring. So if you're deciding between a BMW GS or a GS Adventure, I like the GS Adventure better because it gives me more fuel capacity. And that's better for touring. It's a little wider in the front, and it's got more wind protection. The wind protection's phenomenal. Is it as good as a Goldwing? No, but it's damn close. It's super comfortable. Super comfortable. I've done over 1,000 miles in one day multiple times on this bike. I've done it on a GS too. You just have to stop more for fuel on the GS. And the GS doesn't perform any better off-road. I hear people say, oh, you can swing a GS around better than a GS. No, you can't. And the difference is only 20 pounds difference. It's a 40-pound difference wet. And 20 of that is fuel. There's only 20-pound difference. These bikes are big bikes. And a BMW GS is a big bike. They're still heavy as... So for me, the GS Adventure is better because it's a better touring bike. And ultimately, that's what the GS is for touring. Now let me talk about the power. The power's awesome. You know, I don't know what the horsepower is. They're in the 130s, I think. 125, I think mine is. These things have torque for days. And they're plenty fast. They're geared low, so like when you're just putting around in first gear on a trail or whatever, you just crack the throttle and it goes. You crack the throttle in second and it goes. And on the highway, it's torque. There's lots of torque. It's a good package. And is it the fastest bike? No, it's not. And you know, all the technology in it, the rider assist and the quick shifter, and they're all pretty phenomenal. But when I first saw the Boxer, I was like, it looks dumb. I didn't like the way it looked, and I was like, nah, it's too wide. But after I rode it, it's got power, and it's got low center of gravity, and it just makes it easier to ride. It's flickable because it's just so much lower, and it's really pretty cool. Now there's better technology out there, of course. I'll get into the maintenance too and stuff, but it's pricey on maintenance. They want oil changes every 6, and they check the valves every 12,000 miles. Lexus. See here, I can just be put along and just get... It's got a lot of torque. So one thing that BMW has, it's got like a telelever on it. And basically that's like 2 swing arms. It's a swing arm off the front. What it does, it's very forgiving on the road. So like you get it fast in the corners on the road, twisties, it's very forgiving. It can handle a lot. So like if you're making mistakes, it'll keep you from losing the front tire and stuff. It's pretty awesome technology, really. And it's not bad. It makes the bike easier to ride. It's a unique setup for sure. Look at that moon. Huh. When I get to the top. Shoot. Ultimately, these BMW GS Adventures, they're not dirt bikes. The GS Adventure is geared more towards off-road, but it's not an off-road bike. Can it like tour off-road? Yes. And it can do a lot more than most people are capable of doing with it. You know, a lot of people say, oh no, like BMW can't go there. It can go a lot of places more than you think. Is it more than my skill level? Yes, it's capable more than my skill level. They're touring bikes. That's what they're set up for. I think they got a 19-inch front wheel on it. You know, so street bikes are like 17-inch. And then like off-road and stuff, they want like a 21-inch because that goes over stuff better. So they're kind of in the medium. They're in the middle trying to, you know. But it's a touring bike. It's for street. The suspension is set up for street. You know, it has all this electronic suspension where if I have a passenger, I just push a button and it goes up. Or if I have a bunch of gear, just push a button and it goes up. I know there's a truck coming. You know, it just adjusts automatically, electronically for you, and it's pretty good. But how is it off-road? You can go slow off-road, but you're not going to rail across the desert on it. And if you're jumping and stuff, it ain't going to last long. They bottom out real easy because it's more set up for on-road. It has those comfort features for on-road. As I started touring more and more, I wanted to try more and more roads. You see gravel roads like this and it's like, let me try it. You start finding yourself going on more and more roads that aren't just street, and like this bike's capable of that stuff. Look at this. I'm gonna come up here and take a picture. It's got the swing arm, which is pretty killer technology. All this stuff was made like 1932, they designed it. It's been around since then, and it's pretty good, really. Like, some people have some trouble, and it's got to be serviced every once in a while. I don't know, some people say every 10,000, some people say every 50. I don't know what the rule is on all that, but it's really good not having to deal with a chain, and like, I haven't had any problems. You know, I don't know, it's a touring beast. And if you like touring, this is the bike for you. If you like touring and you want to get on some off-road a little bit, or some fire roads, or it's not a problem. The thing is, it's just so refined. It just does everything well. You know, on the touring side, it does everything well. And off-road, how is it? It's not a dirt bike, but it can handle some pretty good stuff, really. More than most people think. The biggest problem with the BMW GS or GS Adventure, because I'll say both of them, they got the same problem. They're too heavy. They're super heavy. And for off-road, they're heavy. And people are going to argue, no, they're not. Yeah, yes, they are. They're heavy. They're heavy bikes. I can pick my bike up in a parking lot multiple times. That is, when you get off-road and you drop your bike, it's a completely different thing picking it up. The uneven terrain, the deep sand, it's not easy, you know. Try picking your bike up 3 times in deep sand. I have people tell me that if you pick your bike up properly, it's easy to do. But then, you know, they get off-road and they drop their bike in thick gravel and they can't pick it up. You know, so like, until you go off-road and drop your bike, then you understand how hard it is to pick up. And it's picking it up multiple times, it's hard, especially off-road. That's not easy. In a parking lot in your yard, different story. Do I think the big bike adventure market is going anywhere? No. Why? Because most people ride Harleys, and they're coming to these BMWs from Harleys, and they like touring around, and they're getting into the touring market, and that's what brings them into the adventure market, is because they want to tour. That's what brought me into the market, because I wanted to tour, and plus some, right? You wanna tour and then some. Look at that. I'm filming this at night because it's so damn hot, and like, I'm getting ready to leave last minute. Like, I wanted to put this out. I think the BMW GS Adventure is an excellent bike, and it all depends on what you're really trying to do. But it's a touring beast. It's awesome for that, and that's why I love it. The middleweight adventure market is growing rapidly. I don't know if you can see those bats, but it's growing rapidly, and that's because there's 2 new additions that are like making the middleweight adventure market on fire. That's the 790 and the Tenere 700. It's like a stepping stone. You have to go, you get into the adventure market through the big touring bikes, and then once you get off-road and you realize how much work it is and stuff, then you those people move down into the middleweight adventure market. So I think you're going to see a lot of manufacturers trying to match those bikes in the adventure market, the middleweight adventure market. There was a time in my life where I thought I would never ride anything else. The GS Adventure was all I would ever want. For sure, it was meeting my goals spectacular and doing it with ease. And it still does, but I'm going to find out on this trip. You know, they say the Idaho BDR is one of the easiest ones. Well, on these big bikes, I don't think they're that easy. It's just been a phenomenal bike. It's super comfortable. It has power. I can ride off-road with it. It's just a touring machine. It's not the fastest bike in the world, but it gets it done. It's not the prettiest thing either, but it gets it done. It just depends on what your goals are. If your goals are off-road, you have an off-road background, you're going to want like KTM. You're going to want something a little more suspension. if you're just touring and like wanting to do fire roads and stuff, this is the bike. I think the BMW GS Adventure is like an 70-30. 70 on-road, 30% off-road. I think that's what I think. I think like the 790 KTM is more like a 50-50 bike. You're not going to tour around in as much comfort as a GS on like a 790, but you get more off-road capability. You know, the 21-inch front wheel is pretty good for off-road. It just goes over more stuff easier. You know, the BMW is a phenomenal bike. Now, will I ever ride something else? Probably. If I get a different bike, I'm going middleweight adventure class. I love touring. I don't ever want to give up touring. If you're going to Alaska, this is the bike to take. This is a phenomenal all-around bike. It does a lot pretty good. But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up if you did. If you like this content and want to see more, go ahead and subscribe. I got the Nevada BDR and Idaho BDR coming in the next, I don't know. I'm gonna take this trip and I'm not gonna be posting while I'm on it. I'm gonna be focused on riding. But as soon as I get back, I'll start knocking them out. But those are gonna be my next videos, so don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the desert.